blow your nose,
The show must go on.
but hold the snot.
All right, well, look, I'm going to try.
I'll try not to throw up. No Sudafed for you?
I'm on everything.
Should dry you out.
I know. Okay, let me get a different jacket. Don't be difficult today. Yeah, I can't handle it today. Today, I can't handle it. I'm a diva. I'm a diva.
But back it up a little bit. Back it up. Oh,
Oh, you made
I
it.
saw a puff of smoke, Jason.
I was getting ready and then I thought, you know what? We're going to get into cannabis. I thought we would hold off until we got there.
You look fabulous, by the way. Are we ready? Let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back to Hustle and Schmear. I'm Liz Cohen.
And I'm Jason Salstein.
Today we have a guest who is rewriting the rules on what America is drinking and how we're drinking it.
She has worked with some of the most iconic luxury brands in the world, from Hennessy at LVMH
To elevating cannabis into a premium experience at Candescent, proving she knows how to turn any category into a culture.
Now she's taking the charge at Hello Soju, taking a globally beloved spirit and giving it the spotlight it deserves.
She understands brand as lifestyle, product as community, and how to build a moment everyone wants to be a part of.
Visionary marketer, culture shaper, CEO who knows exactly what's next.
Please welcome the woman raising the bar on what we're sipping and how we celebrate,
Elisabeth Baron.
Wait, before we even get started, I always ask what everyone's drinking. Are you doing iced, hot? Normally I have coffee, but today I'm doing seltzer.
Water.
What are you drinking?
I just dumped my coffee for
Ooh, hello. Hello, Soju.
Hello, little product placement. So, could you describe what that is exactly that you're pouring in? What is that?
Okay, so Hello Soju is if traditional soju and ready to drink, like let's say High Noon or Surfside, had a baby. It is a sparkling soju in a can, spirit based. 7% alcohol made with real fruit juice. We have 5 flavors, delicious and refreshing.
What's your favorite flavor? I was looking online.
This is Asian pear, which I quite like.
Ooh, I like that.
Well, the question is, I saw that go into a Detroit mug. You're from Detroit. Any run-ins with Madonna or Eminem?
No, but I welcome a run-in with them soon, hopefully.
Okay, great.
Let's put it in the universe.
What was it like growing up outside of Detroit? Tell us about how it influenced you and how do you think it shaped you as a leader today?
Yeah, well, I hold my 313 roots very close to my heart and soul. It was an interesting upbringing, being child of immigrants on one side and then a Brooklyn Italian on the other side. It really taught me grit and managing difficult situations, not always feeling welcome everywhere. Really blessed to be around a lot of diversity growing up and having my mom celebrate that. I think I mentioned to you, Liz, my mom had such a diverse group of friends all over. She played piano. We would have little parties at home. It was in the suburbs of Detroit. I always say 17 mile versus 8 mile.
Okay.
So 8 miles the border of Detroit. And sometimes they call us Detroit-ish, because we're suburban.
And when you were growing up, just out of curiosity, you know, Detroit was the heartland of the motors and cars. Did you feel that? Like everybody worked in the factories and everybody was making cars? What was that like?
I was probably the only one of my friends that dad did not work for one of the big 3 auto companies. My dad was a carpenter who worked for the Detroit public schools. He was very blue collar, and I would say
Basically
most
Jesus, right? I mean, worked for public schools and a carpenter. We might as well
Right?
just say it.
pretty far from Jesus, but he did volunteer at the church downtown and do some things for building. He never showed up at church on Sunday, but he would show up to build and help stuff during the week.
All right, well, that's where it counts.
Well, we love that. We'll get more into that during our mitzvah of the day. Liz, next question.
Well, I'm curious, how long were you in Detroit? I know you had a stint in Dallas. When did you make your way to LA? I want to get into your Hennessy years because that's when I met you.
We met fantasy football.
Fantasy football, yeah.
All
We had
female.
an all-girls fantasy football, Jason, if you could imagine. And we instantly, I think we met in New York at a bar and we were doing a meetup and we were like, okay, Instant friends. It was one of the
Yeah,
best
you're my people.
Yeah.
I left the Detroit area when I was 18 and I went, which I thought was the South, to undergrad at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. Number 2 in the nation. Go Hoosiers.
Oh, hello. Hoosiers.
That was funny for me. That was a transition in and of itself where, people had accents. I truly did think this is the kind of the South, right? But it was just Southern Indiana. I went there 4 years. Mom got sick in my senior year, so a little bit of a hiccup there, and then passed away. I ended up going to Dallas, and I had no job. I had no real trajectory because it was a jolt to the system when you lose somebody like that. But I followed 2 of my friends from IU that were recruited for American Airlines and Samsonite. I slept on their couch for a while until I got
Look at
sick.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Jason, if you know Elizabeth now,
Oh
she
my
ain't
God. I'm
sleeping
just saying,
on
college in itself is such a pivotal moment, but to lose a parent and
the
to go move out, it's got to be such
couch.
a different kind of experience, one that you weren't expecting, I guess, life shaping, actually.
It's part of, building that resilience and working through things, but having an ulcer at 21 was like not great because, you're like trying to cope through
Yeah.
this kind of earth shattering
Say
situation.
you don't have the same tools that you do now, like the work that you've
Right.
done now. You definitely don't. You're not equipped in the
No.
same capacity as you are.
And when you were in college, was your interest in marketing? Were you drinking in college and being like, oh, I want to get into the spirit business?
Oh my God, it's so funny. I was just speaking to my college buddies that I ended up, crashing with in Dallas about the early drinking patterns that we had. No, I was a political science major. I really loved communications like everybody else kind of does at that era of, our lives, but I was not even studying marketing.
Oh wow. When was the switch, I guess, or when did you get your foot in the door on that?
When I was in Dallas, I used to say I would go out not to meet guys. I would go try to find a job. So I would show up at a bar and say, and what do you do for a living? It wasn't because I was like trying to get an MRS or get married or whatever. I was trying to get a gig. So I met this guy named Arthur Kaplan. Got to give a shout out to
Hey,
him.
Arthur.
And he
Arthur.
haven't talked to him in a million years.
Okay.
But he turned me on to this agency that was hiring. He worked for this agency called Tracy Locke, 100-year-old agency. They did marketing, promotions and advertising for Frito-Lay and Pepsi predominantly. So I faxed my resume back and I got the gig. So I was a traffic manager on the agency side for several years and working on both Frito-Lay and Pepsi.
Oh
And
wow.
where was that based?
Dallas.
Oh, that was Dallas. Okay.
That was Dallas.
Also, being on the agency side,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
hard. I mean, it's hard work. It's late hours. It's a lot. There's a lot of pressure.
If you're not committed, you make no money and you work long hours and you wear a lot of hats. So,
What do you think you learned the most at that agency?
you know what I learned what I enjoyed, really, what my, what drove my passion. And I loved being really close to creative people. I never found myself particularly creative, but always drawn to creative people. And so I really enjoyed the art directors, the copywriters, just felt they always were inspiring. And I was, able to really brainstorm with them and build programs and campaigns. So that was my favorite part about it. But also, back in the day, you would be a traffic manager and you would have a job jacket and it would be filled with all of the different jobs you were working on. And sometimes we would talk to each other like, I have 30 active projects right now. And you would have 30 job jackets of all your different projects and running around to the studio and getting things done and working with the creative team. So I think it helps you prioritize. It helps you think broadly outside of yourself, really bring together creative ideas, but with all grounded in kind of a brand
reality.
What are you trying to achieve here and reining it in. It was a great way to see all the aspects.
How long were you there for, and then where'd you go after that?
So I was at that first gig for 6 years, and then I jumped around to a few different agencies. I went to Chicago for a year in December, and I realized, wow, this is different from Detroit. Way more snow, way colder. Wasn't for me. Then I jumped around to a couple of other agencies, and then I landed at Diageo.
So where was that? That was LA?
It was Dallas.
Oh, that was back in Dallas.
Yeah, so I was popping around back to Dallas.
Right, so
I had a
like
boyfriend, so I kept going back there for the guy thing. Then after I was in Dallas for a few years with Diageo, they re-centralized their marketing to Connecticut. And I interviewed and got the job for my first national brand manager role. I did not want to live in Connecticut. It was in Stamford. And I was working on my MBA at the time. So I moved to New York. That was my first move to New York. And I
Oh,
took the Metro North to Stamford every day.
that was earlier, right? Like you were still at Diageo.
I
And
was
I'm
still at Diageo.
Yeah.
Yep.
What were the brands at Diageo? Because like if people don't know Diageo, they have like they have amazing
Yeah.
assortment of brands.
Biggest alcohol beverage company in the world.
Yeah.
I learned how to really build brands at Diageo. I was on the high energy team, which was the shooter brands. So I worked on Goldschlager
Oh my God. That's funny.
and Romana Sambuca. I used to hang out
Ooh.
with some of the guys, Steve Sharippa from The Sopranos back in the day. It was fun and interesting. It was sort of the way to break into brand marketing in brands that didn't have a lot of budget. You had to be scrappy. You had to understand the consumer. It was interesting.
As a brand marketer, what are you actually doing? What are those role and responsibilities? What are you doing on a Tuesday at 2 o'clock in the office?
It's a really good question. It depends on what stage your brand is, right? If you have an established brand that's been around 10 years or 100 years, it has a different priority. Most of the Diageo brands were longer stage brands that had been around a long time. So it's the challenge is, how do you make it relevant again? How do you make people care about your brand? You're building strategy, then you're building an activation plan to connect with the consumer, to connect with emotionally. Back then, the rules of the road were a lot different than they are now. We've shifted so much to this digital and social world where you have to build your brand, on social media, essentially.
Which is crazy because there was no Insta. You weren't posting on Instagram. You were on the ground.
Alcohol marketing was be billboards. I would see billboards. I would see a lot of the magazines. I remember Absolute had like the back page of Ocean Drive.
Also, just like activations at a place. Like if you're out in Miami, there would be activations, or in New York. I remember that.
A lot of events and experiences. And that's what I hope we get back to, because that's how you build community, how you really not only connect liquid to lips, what we say in our business, but you get
liquid to lips. Love that. Might be the title for this one.
Yeah, it's good.
You not only get the liquid to lips, but you also then can immediately immerse them in an experience that reflects your brand. And that's what you really hope for. You want somebody to try the product, be like, wow, this is great. Then they're immediately immersed into this environment that feels like something they could vibe with. And that's kind of what it used to be all about, instead of everybody's posing.
Like influencers and posing with, yeah.
Technology is a deterrent and a positive in this world. Do you think that technology has helped?
You can't discount the power of the digital opportunity for marketing, connecting to consumers, particularly in our business, DTC, connecting with consumers directly on our website, being able to convert to a sale. In our business, it's a three-tiered system. It's hard to reach the consumer. That's our biggest opportunity, is how we connect with them directly when we have them. The data is important in that we can really geo-target and get into the targeted advertising into really specific areas, so we know that we're reaching the consumer that surrounds where our product is sold. I think that's a huge benefit of digital marketing.
There's something about that, and you talked about it, getting back to in-person and building community. The data can only get you so far.
You leave Diageo and you go to Hennessy.
There was a guy that I worked with at Diageo through the Seagram acquisition. And through that acquisition, there was a up and coming guy that was just like shooting up through the ranks in his career. And I said, hey, don't forget about me. If you ever make it to California, I'd love to live in California, particularly Southern California. So years later, he connected with me and said, hey, I have this opening at Moet Hennessy, LVMH in Southern California. What do you think?
So you moved to LA.
So I moved first to Newport Beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A totally different vibe than LA proper.
Yes. It was a little too homogenous for me. Liz and I are similar in that we like.
Yeah, it's very suburban in a way, and it's very isolated from the rest of LA, or it's like its own bubble.
It's Orange County. It's wealthy.
It's great if you have a family. My best friend lives out there. We would go out there. I mean, Balboa Island, Bear Flag. I love going on the PCH and listening to the Hills song.
I moved within a year to Santa Monica. I was mostly in Santa Monica since I've been here.
Well, that was a while ago. You're like an LA girl now, I suppose.
I love New York so much.
I know. Well, we're gonna get to that because I
I
have a
love
little
New York so
action for
much.
that. You
Um,
know me.
yeah, I used to call it when I was bi-coastal, I would call it the detox retox plan. You know? I would come here to detox and go back to
I
retail.
remember visiting you one time and there was like I forget where we went. And now of course like we have a little bit more of that here, but it was chlorophyll in the
Oh,
water,
yeah,
blah, 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 and it
exfoliation
was like
definitely.
matcha. And I'm like, what is this?
She
Anyway,
spends a lot of time rolling her eyes at us.
I was like, you know what? It was kind of fun. It was fun.
How was your time at Hennessy? Did you feel under pressure because it was an LVMH brand?
The difference was when I started working, it was on the whole spirits portfolio. Then they changed the organization and they said you had to choose one brand to work on because they wanted people to go deeper within each brand. And Hennessy was the biggest opportunity. Hennessy was the second highest revenue driver for all of LVMH outside of Vuitton. So for LVMH, Hennessy was an important brand. Moet Hennessy, it was the most important brand by far. I wanted to be where the action was. I said, I'll sign up for that biggest challenge, the biggest opportunity. That's why I chose to work on Hennessy in the region. And then, in the region, you're connecting marketing and sales at a grassroots level to make sure that you're stimulating purchase. And, you have to balance the strategy part of it. And I had already done national brand management. So it was sort of, the next evolution is how do you bring that strategy down to the street level and make sure it's activated in that way. Then I was asked to move to the New York office. That's when I transitioned to the New York office and headquarters for North America.
How I remember meeting Elisabeth, she was definitely plugged into talent and just nightlife and kind of knew or at least from my perspective, we would go and they're like, hey, and
Let's
she
drop
knew.
names. Let's talk smack.
Wow.
We want to hear
The,
it.
the one
What
thing
was
I
that
really
like?
remember, there was a lot you invited me to actually, but there was a big one where, was it Nas for Super Bowl? Like
Oh,
in the
yeah.
city, and Beyonce and Jay-Z show up in the same roped area we're in. And I'm like, yeah, because I always thought that was maybe certainly part of your gig is like knowing the space, having the connections with the talent.
I by far didn't know everybody. There's people that were way more connected, but I certainly loved it.
Is there anything else with respect to Hennessy? Because I know you were in New York for a while. You were definitely traveling a lot.
The other thing with Hennessy is I had the opportunity to be one of the first Americans to go work in Hennessy headquarters in Paris. And it was an opportunity that I wish I would have, if it was at a different time in a different situation, I would have taken on that opportunity because I would have loved and enjoyed working globally in that way.
Yeah.
But personal things get in the way. My dad was in declining health. So I felt really honored to have that kind of opportunity and learn so much at my time at LVMH. The bar couldn't get any higher.
What did Mr. Arnault teach you?
What we learned is when he visited our office, that we better dress the right way. We better have our cube tidied up. And there were a lot of rules. You have to look the part and be the part. And absolutely wanted you to be immersed in the brand and in the culture. And I think that makes a successful marketer. At the end of the day, if you don't have passion about what you're marketing or selling, then it's really hard to connect to the consumer because you don't know what motivates them. So that was definitely a part of it. I always appreciated that as soon as I was onboarded at LVMH, the first thing was you got to travel to France, you go to Cognac, you get immersed in the brand and the experience, and they treated you very well so that you know how to treat consumers when you get back home. It was a great training ground for a luxury brand.
For sure. I kind of want to switch because I thought it was really interesting when then you took the leap to pivot into the cannabis space because that's pretty ballsy of you. I think you were like, you got to the tippity top of this luxury brand. This was your new challenge. I thought it was very outside of the box. It was very progressive. And
That's what I was going to say. It had to have been very progressive. I mean, now it's obviously like I have a license and I can do this and it's legal. At the time where you probably pivoted, it was just so new and such an exciting moment. Were you ever nervous going into this elusive industry from drinking, which is socially acceptable?
I really wasn't nervous about making that leap. I was more excited. I think when you're in an industry for so long and you have different challenges with every brand you build, but to then be able to build a category from the ground up, essentially, because nobody was marketing cannabis in any kind of way that was traditional or non-traditional at all. They were just selling it through the back door, guy on the corner, or whatever it was,
And particularly like your elevated, bougier female client, there was nothing really out in the market that spoke to them.
Yeah.
So
When I left LVMH, I worked in the startup world. That was, 20 to 2015. I learned from interesting founders along the way. The founder of Candescent was particularly smart, but he didn't come from the culture. He didn't come from cannabis. Cannabis is a culture. So he came HBS guy who was, wanting to get in at the right time to make a business of it, had strong views. I thought the concept was incredible with Candescent. It was asking the consumer, how do you want to feel? And distilling down thousands of strains of cannabis into 5 effects. So making it really easy for the consumer to understand. You want to feel charged on the sativa side, or do you want to feel calm? And then there's all the ones in between. It distilled it down for consumers in a way that made them understand and feel more approachable towards cannabis. At Coachella one year, I was like, we are going to activate at Coachella come hell or high water. So we found this opportunity to be at a after party. I wanted to do a cannabis bar. We're going to set up the 5 effects, 5 flowers. We're going to allow people to come smell. They would doing a wine tasting. Just create a whole engagement with consumers that they can sniff it. They can understand the benefits of the product. Then you ask them, how do you want to feel? Sometimes they're like, I need to dial it down a notch. I want to feel calm or just like chill. Then you steer them and you educate them along the way to what cannabis strain or what cannabis effect is going to be best for their situation. So I loved that. It was both fun and exciting and forging new ground, but also crazy and wild, wild west. Probably my least glamorous opportunity in my career happened there too.
Yeah, you're popping bottles out in the desert. But it was so interesting. Okay, anyway.
So you don't like the mundanity of life, apparently.
You need challenges. You need new challenges.
They say happiness is progress. If you're not progressing, learning, or growing, you really can't be happy. It seems that you are the epitome of that thesis right there.
For sure. Particularly as a female in a certain space, like you don't see necessarily a lot of it still. So I just think it's, such a badass thing. I remember you were up for this gig, but you are now CEO at Hello Soju. Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how you feel doing it, and how you felt like this was the right next step for you.
It's always a privilege to be given an opportunity that not everybody gets. And also, to get the trust that goes along with that. For me, this has been fun. I feel like it's all those years of different experiences and different brands, all the greatest hits of those years, and bringing it to a new brand, being able to really make an impact and grow a brand from the ground up. I think that's a huge opportunity, but also a big challenge. I love a good challenge.
As a CEO, do you feel that you're more managing people than actually managing product? Or you were in the marketing world. Now you are in charge of marketing, but you're also in charge of other things, PR, production, sales. How does that?
It's definitely an evolution, and you can't get caught in the weeds. That's what I think the biggest balance opportunity is, making sure that you stay connected to the business and the day-to-day, that nobody's overspending, that everybody's being smart about what we're doing. Everything we do is important. There's no wasted moments. It's about leveling up, but staying connected to what's happening so that you could answer a question that comes your way at any moment of time. And, you have to empower the team, but at the same time, I don't have a big team, right? I have a very tiny team. It's a balance of making sure you manage cash flow. You don't hire. You have that balance of external resources that you can count on, and, building that strong core team for the day to day.
And just to interject, managing the cash flow is hard enough. How did you learn how to do that when you weren't in school for that? You're not an economics major. How do you make sure that you know what the F you're doing?
It's a learning, and that's what's exciting though, right? Part of being a good leader is knowing your weaknesses and being vulnerable. You've got to be vulnerable. And as a woman, Liz, you know very well that it's tough to be vulnerable in our space, because we always have to show up and feel confident and never get emotional. And, all the things that come with being a female leader, that is a spot that I didn't have to manage in the past. But, what I did manage was small budgets. Oftentimes, even with big brands, you have to leverage the value of your brand when you don't have a big budget. And that was what I was able to do in established brands. So, managing budgets is something that's critical, especially when you're dealing with investors' money. You know, you have to be smart. You have to show progress. You have to prove that you're building this exciting brand while not being wasteful and keeping your eyes on the prize. So it's a balance.
There's a lot of things to juggle. And I'm curious because you said don't get so much in the weeds, which could be really challenging pivoting from previous lives when you were digging into the weeds. And a lot of the times, even still, I'm sure you feel this way, it can feel like it's just almost easy. Like, let me just do it myself. It is an interesting challenge for you to
But I also think, like, when you said being vulnerable, like, I think it's just a different side of a CEO that actually seems a lot stronger. It makes you more personal. I'm sure you're tough as nails. You're not where you're at because you're a softie. But at the same time, I just think that women leaders look at mothers and they're running a whole show. Nothing's wrong with being vulnerable. You're strong and you probably curse people out at the same time.
But it's a balance. Even in boardrooms, it could feel like your voice isn't always heard in the same way, or at least there's a perception of that. Sometimes you're like, yeah. And there are times when you're like, I feel like I just said that, and somebody else is saying the same exact thing and getting recognition for it. And you don't want to get in that headspace, certainly, but it's happened.
Yep. You don't want to be a victim. You don't want to
Yeah.
be that way. But at the same time, acknowledging it is important. I want to surround myself with experienced people and, you know, regardless of their gender or whatever. But I also want there to always be mutual respect on the team. And that's what's critical. Sometimes, you know, if you're like, you know, a little bit more old school and you're a little bit more set in your ways, it's hard, you know, to probably evolve to that point. I always want to build a team that's reflective of the consumers I serve. But to me, that will always keep you connected and always make sure, you know, you're doing the right thing by the brand, by the consumer, by the team.
And speaking of consumers, how have you seen the consumers change in alcohol preference and alcohol consumption? Everybody's talking about how people are drinking less these days, or people are being more specific and more intentional when drinking.
I think it's always an evolution in this industry, right? One year whiskey is big, the next year it's not. Then tequila is big, then it's mezcal, then it's non-alc. It was this whole non-alc wave, I guess, started a couple years ago. There's always going to be a place for it. I'm here in Cali sober land, where people are choosing to be Cali sober, going to smoke weed and not drink alcohol.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah.
fun.
So, and that's cool. Like, no problem. I have friends that are sober. I have friends that don't drink alcohol for health reasons. I have friends that prefer having cannabis. It's just, it makes the world go round. You're going to have something for everybody. Non-alc will have its place. I don't think it's going to eliminate the need for alcohol. It's going to be around forever.
Right.
My grandfather, who I never got to meet, was a liquor salesperson in New York.
Get out. That's so
crazy.
crazy.
I was
Wow,
going
what a
through,
circle situation.
It's so in the
Right?
family. Oh my
yeah.
God.
So I was going through old stuff and I found his business card and I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah,
Oh,
it's just funny. So it's going to be around. It was around back then. It's going to be around 100 years from now.
Where do people get Hello Soju?
Right now, we're just only a little over 90 days in from launch. So we're still growing the brand and determining kind of where we live. But, you know, what I think is the best way to connect with consumers and have them try the product is in an experiential environment. Like we did a couple of really cool night markets, 626 night markets, very fun and ways for consumers to try the product and then immediately buy it there at the event. We did an event with Complex called Family Style. I was like guarding the cooler product because people were just going and labbing it all.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I was like, but wait, will you please follow us on social?
That is so funny.
We make the spirits. It's made from non-GMO rice from the Sacramento Valley.
The bottle is gorgeous.
Sonoma County, yeah, that was the design from our founder. We just launched this a couple weeks ago with the Tao Group here in LA. It makes great cocktails. And so at Tao, they feature a few really great cocktails.
It's more like a sake or more like a wine?
It's more like a vodka, but with more character. And it's rice-based.
Soju is in its own world. I like soju a lot. It's in its own world. We have it, of course, like on our end. I feel like I've had a lot in California and when I've gone abroad.
And am I ordering it at Korean restaurants and Japanese restaurants?
Place wherever our consumer is. You know, our consumer is this sort of zillennial consumer that is, you know, embraces Asian culture, but crosses different, demographic.
Going back to business a little bit, like you've had a lot of roles and you've worked with a lot of great people and you've built amazing brands. What is maybe some of the best business advice you've received or even given? I'm just curious for anybody looking to do what you're doing.
I think you have to have passion for what you're doing. It's not technically business advice, but you have to have passion for what you're embarking in and the challenge. You have to understand and embrace the vision. You have to have a plan to get there. And once you have a plan, you need not be overly distracted. You need to stick to that plan and execute. And it's really difficult for founders that are so excited and can be ADHD a little bit sometimes where they're, oh, we should do this, or somebody told me this. And it's that balance between being agile and changing, because things are going to change and you have to be ready to change. Ride the trends, take the opportunities as they come, but you also have to keep your eyes on the prize and make sure you don't lose sight of that. And that's why most startups fail. So I think managing a brand in an early stage and in a startup world is very different than managing a 200-plus-year-old Hennessy brand. It's a completely different challenge.
You got to keep everybody in line.
Yeah.
Like herding cats. Before we get to Schmooze Fest, I want to just a little bit about what's next for you. What's on your horizon and what are you getting excited about?
You have to visit in Palm Springs. You
Palm
can
Springs.
be like the Golden Girls hanging out.
I know. The Golden Girls were young, by the way.
I know.
It's just like...
And they were in Fort Lauderdale, so come on down. Okay.
Yes, a little bit of a different vibe.
So what's next? Business kind of rules my world, always ruled my world, but it's good. Next is fundraising, which is another thing I'm embarking on that I haven't been responsible for before. You can't rest on your laurels.
And it's exciting. Time for Schmooze Fest.
All right, this time I'm doing Schmooze Fest, and Schmooze Fest is quick, fun, rapid-fire questions to get to know more about Elisabeth. Are we ready?
Okay.
Oh.
What's one Italian family tradition that brings you joy every single time?
I would say making sauce. I know you New Yorkers call it gravy, but it's...
No, we call it sauce
yeah,
too.
I think, there's something about it, putting the music on, you make sauce from scratch. It brings me back to, the times when my mom used to do that. It's nostalgic, it makes me feel good, and it's like a big hug. So that's something.
What are we listening to while we're making our Sunday sauce?
Knowing me, it could be Frank Sinatra, but it could also be Aretha Franklin.
Aretha, I know. I was just about to say, it's probably Aretha. It's a little Aretha.
Your perfect night. Great music, great friends. What's in your glass?
It depends on where I am and my situation. Lately, I had a great night in Detroit when I was back home, Eastern Market after dark, and went to a great, house music playing in the streets, people dancing. It was super fun and total energy of Detroit. And then I went to this bar called Spotlight, and I had Hennessy and ginger.
She got me into
that. Ginger.
Yes, Elisabeth has gotten me into that drink. It's very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
You can take the girl out of Hennessy, but you can't take
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. You can invite any 3 people for a drink with Hello Soju. Who's at the table?
Ooh.
One, I would say Aretha Franklin. I love her. She's incredible. There's just so many reasons I love her, but she would be number 1. I would say Sandra Oh would be number 2.
Oh.
I just really think she's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
Reverent. I like to mix different kinds of folks up to stimulate the conversation. And my mom. My mom would be my member of the party. I think she would love Hello Soju and love what I'm, trying to do here. She would also like the company, I think, of the other.
Oh my God, I want invited to that table. Okay.
All right. In the friend group, are you the planner or are you the I'm 5 minutes away texter, but you're still really at home?
Liz, I'm 20 minutes away, but I'm going to say 5 minutes away.
But you know what? It's always a good time, so it's worth the wait.
What's the perfect accompaniment with soju, food-wise?
Oh, I love Korean barbecue with it. And I love kimchi. Yeah, I love some short.
And I feel like LA Korean barbecue is like on another level.
It's so good. Yeah. So many good options.
Okay. Signature power accessory, bold lip, killer shoe, or the perfect bag?
I used to say the perfect shoe, but now I'm mostly sneakers. But I would say the bag. The bag.
Yeah, the bag.
What's your go-to power move before a big meeting? Are we listening to Aretha? Are we looking in the mirror and saying mantras? What are we doing?
I think it's a bit of both. I think it's getting that like spirit going with some key inspo, music, a couple affirmations in the mirror, not forgetting where you came from, but also
Ooh.
remembering who you are and what you've built.
Yes, I love that. Okay, I'm gonna do that. Talk to my mirror.
This or that, Liz?
This or that. Are you ready? New York hustle or LA ease? Oh, it's a hard one. All right, we'll allow it. Yeah. Okay, Detroit Pistons or Detroit Lions?
Well, today, the Detroit Lions, no doubt
Oh,
about
yeah.
it.
Well, here's another Detroit. Detroit pizza or New York slice?
Oh, come on. Detroit pizza, right?
What? Those are fighting words.
Oh my gosh, what do you mean?
All right, where are
course,
you going for a Detroit slice?
Buddies is a classic, old
Oh,
school.
try it. I know you travel a lot. Window or aisle?
Aisle.
I
I
love
need
an
to get
aisle
out.
too.
I like to be
An aisle.
independent.
I need
don't
to
wanna
be out too.
hustle.
I don't want to be like caught or like feel trapped.
Right?
I know. I hate it. And then I immediately have to go. Anyway. Okay. Indica or sativa?
Hybrid.
Ooh, good answer. Negroni or dirty martini? This was
Negroni all day, every
bagel with schmear or your LA avocado toasts?
No bagel. Bagel is yeah.
Okay. Pilates reformer or yoga mat?
I need to do both.
Okay, good answer.
I haven't done either in a while.
Zoom meetings or deals over coffee and drinks?
If given the time, I would always take in person.
Yes.
Sure.
Everyone listen to that. That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, espresso or cappuccino?
Espresso.
Okay. Gucci or Prada? We're getting back to Italy.
It's probably Gucci, but I do love Prada.
Bolognese or carbonara?
Bolognese.
Two more. Tiramisu or gelato?
Gelato.
Oh, good answer. Okay, last one. Limoncello or Chianti?
Depends on the occasion. Probably Chianti because it goes with food.
Ooh, fun. All right. Okay, Jason.
Hey, Nosh of the Day. Nosh of the Day is a quick segment where we discuss our recent favorite restaurants, recipes, or where we want to go next. Liz, you're going to start, then I'm going to go, and then we'll give some time for Elisabeth to think.
I just went to this place last night. It's funny. I went to an event. We saw Jennifer Fisher. We were at the Moet Hennessy Library, which was interesting, and that was fun. Afterwards, just walked in the neighborhood in Tribeca, and it was this place called Warren Peace. It was on Warren Street. So it was a little play on the words, really fun cocktails, dark and moody. Guys working there playing the whole beverage menu like with care and kindness, which you don't always get. There was really good bar bites, and it was just a good time. Well, we just got little bites, so I like the tuna tartare. It was like on a little crackery thing, but it had like interesting flavors. It was good.
Okay. I'm going to take it back to a place that just reopened in Paris. I haven't been since closed, but it is Cafe Castillon. I just love it there. They have amazing smoked salmons. They have a great cheeseburger. It's just awesome. I love it. It's right off Place Vendôme on Rue Castillon, right next to the breweries. So if you're back in Paris, check it out with the red awning. All right, Elisabeth.
What I want to try that I haven't been yet is Cote. Have you been to Cote?
No. Okay, so there's one in here. There's one in Miami
one
too.
In Vegas.
I'm going to Vegas for F1, and maybe you have to come.
Gosh, absolutely.
Okay, hold on. Though. I
I'll send you
have
the
to
details.
say, I've been to Cote before. It is very, very good. However,
What?
Very
you
expensive.
have to warn them, or for me, I do not like the lard or whatever the fat where they grease the Korean the barbecue.
It hurts your
I
tummy.
was in the bathroom for 3 days after.
Oh, no.
But,
This is not an ad for Coke.
no. And also Coco Doc, the sister restaurant of fried chicken, is supposed to be outrageous.
No, I haven't
love
been.
KFC. I love Korean chicken.
Hey, let's add that to the list.
All
When you're
right.
back in New York, let's do that when you're
Can
back.
I meet you in Vegas and we go? Let's
Come
do
to
that.
Vegas. I'll send you my details.
Yeah.
Okay, I love it.
Edition of Nosh of the Day is, what's your bagel order? Toasted? Are you scooped? What's your schmear? Let's hear it.
Maybe on occasion I would have been scooped here in LA, but I'm not going to do that. It's not proper. So I would do double toasted everything with a schmear.
Ooh, and what are we doing? Scallion, plain?
No, just plain.
Plain.
Just
I
plain.
like it. Double toasted,
Double.
and extra crispy.
Yes.
I love that. Our last segment is Mitzvah of the Day, where we take a little break from the hustle and spotlight everyday acts of kindness or a charity that you've been involved in.
I am really passionate about my pup, as you know, Liz.
Yes.
I love animal wellness centers because they not only brought me the love of my life, Aretha.
And her name is Aretha. Yeah, exactly. That's
But also
What kind of
because
dog is Aretha?
oh, she's so cute.
she's a poodle mix. She was born at the South LA shelter, and her mom's a black Havanese looking dog, but she's white, looks like a Bichon. So definitely a couple daddies in that litter, I think. But that's another topic. But no, Animal Wellness Center
I
does a
want to
lot
be
of
in on that topic.
they do a lot of great work for rescue in LA. They rescued a lot of dogs from the Palisades fire here.
Oh, wow.
So that's my chosen sort of charity. I think it's amazing when you can rescue an animal that needs help, a new mom or dad, and it's a win.
Aretha lives a life. Can I just say that she's on the beach. She's running around. She's got a good thing. She's going here. She's going there.
Okay.
It brought you a lot of joy. All right. That wraps this episode with Elisabeth Baron. Thank you, Elizabeth. Honestly, we learned a lot. I'm always so impressed. I'm like, gosh, my friends are really impressive. Okay. All right. Elizabeth and Jason, please read us out.
The hustle is real.
And the schmear is extra.